You know what I
Oh,
mean?
damn it. Okay, so this gonna be on the before show, Fernando. This gonna be on the before show.
Instruction manual. Put that bookshelf
Man,
together. Look here. You think
shit.
I got a PhD?
Hell yeah, hit that IKEA shit. But
And we're back at the starting point.
oh for sure.
Shit, you got a degree? Look here. Let's do that. You want to talk
Put
about
a brand new,
degrees?
We can
put
talk
a
about
brand new
degrees.
Look,
So
you want to put degrees together? Put this
that-
bookshelf
that-
together.
that
Let's have
power-
that conversation.
I feel that. I feel that.
I mean, I think that do you think that common sense is I ain't gonna say underrated, but underappreciated.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the day, say you have that person that's degreed up that they don't have that common sense or that experience because it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then y'all both sitting at home trying to figure out what IKEA talking about, and then y'all got to call the dude on Thumbtack to come and show you, and you don't even know he graduated high school, but he came and he put that shit together.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We just got back though. You should tell people how we came to this conversation.
How did we come to this conversation? We were talking about inflation. We were talking about um using degrees as a flex. Is that your only game? Like when you're trying to relationship or you're trying to get out there and what I explained, what I started talking about is when I had the women here, I was saying, is having a degree, is that all your game? Like, okay. It's kind of like, it's kind of like, speaking of the exhibit, the Tupac exhibit that they got going on right now. I was talking to somebody and they had all these different portions of his life that was up.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ladies that was here, we were talking about the exhibit. And I said, I think him being an MC or a rapper would have just been something on the list
That's crazy.
if he was still here. It's a trip. He died at
I just
25. He
thought
lived
about
so much life. But yeah, that exhibit is downtown right now.
Okay.
And that would have been something on his list, being a rapper. He had all this other stuff. So my question was, is your education your game? Is that how you come at you? Well, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
Over the appetizer. Okay, what else? What's your game? What else?
Well, I think it goes back to like what you were talking about earlier with
Maslow's hierarchy of
the
needs.
hierarchy of needs, right? So, like, when you look at the pyramid, the concept is that you can't really go to the next level per se, right? You look at the very bottom of the pyramid, the basics you need in order to, progress through life: shelter, food, those basics got to be there before you can even start thinking about the next level within the pyramid.
I agree.
Right.
And I think so many people, I don't even want to. I say, because we are all African American and because we personally identify with the African American experience, our bias is toward the African American experience. But people as a whole, from all all cultures, and all generations, have gone through their own individual struggles at some level throughout life, throughout history. So when you really look at it, it's like, we're all going through this human experience together, trying to figure it out, right?
Right.
And it takes us. We're all going through different phases within that hierarchy of needs structure at different times.
For sure.
I might be on level 3 at a time when he at level 5. He going through his self-actualization when I'm just
Now realizing.
getting to a point where I'm realizing the importance of relationships.
Yeah.
And I can actually have the emotional intelligence to, really comprehend what those relationships mean to me, because now I finally got to a point where I have some level of stability in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many cats that never get to that level of stability, to where they really never get to realize that level of intelligence, right? How many guys we know in the hood that are borderline geniuses? I can tell. I can name 5 gang members in jail right now on one hand that, if you look at the stuff they was doing to just run half of their hustles,
Right.
For sure.
the energy and the intelligence it takes to run these hustles,
Yeah.
that it's like, if they could have just, dialed
Channeled
that
that.
energy towards either school or towards their purpose, right?
For sure.
Because ultimately that's what that whole that whole Maslow hierarchy thing is about.
Mhm.
When you're talking about self-actualization, you're talking about you understanding yourself, meeting yourself, and understanding the purpose for your own life, right? Like what that looked like. So many of us are going through school because we feel like school is going to give us that answer. But then when school don't give us that answer, then we're going through life just kind of floating, trying to figure
For
life
sure.
out because we still haven't figured that purpose. Whereas guys like Tupac, he received his purpose very early.
For sure.
You know, you look at the people who are some of our pillars in life. You look at Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods felt like he had his purpose very early.
Mhm.
Michael Jordan, he felt like he hit his purpose pretty early. Right? I don't know. What do you think?
This is the thing. And I know you're talking about street cats and stuff. They'd be very smart. The funny thing is, I think a lot of people that are the most intelligent has never had reassurance in their intelligence, but are very aware of their intelligence.
I see that.
And it makes them be more reckless with their ways, where they don't feel of what it is. Like as smart as Tupac is, Tupac could have did anything possible. It's just that his poetry turned into hip hop and it wound up making him some dollars where he didn't have to do anything else.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? If you think about the average sadistic individual, they're pretty educated and pretty smart and very knowledgeable
Oh, for
about
sure.
what they're doing. So they're not idiots. You get what I'm saying? So I do agree with you that if the guidance was there, yeah. If the schooling was there, yeah. If the environment was there, then yeah. There's a lot of different components that do play a part. But some people that can get out there and run a street or run a block or do stuff like that, they're pretty smart enough to do that. Because it takes a lot to run a corner,
For
to
sure.
run a street.
You
To
got to
make
be a people
plan.
person. You got to be a motivator.
Right. Rob
You have to be a
banks.
leader.
Y'all know how many banks get robbed that we don't ever hear about? The reason why they don't talk about banks getting robbed because they don't want everybody to catch on to it.
Yeah.
That alone lets you know just that the intelligent level of some individuals out there in this world that it's not all what they put on paper for you. It's all about what you can actually lay out.
You throw out two names. You know, when I think about Tupac and then I think about Jay-Z.
Okay.
Tupac and Jay-Z, two very different individuals, but you could argue that number one today, Jay is in a state of self-actualization, right? But I also argue too that Jay and Tupac differed in the sense that Jay was living a lifestyle he was rapping about. Tupac was acting about a lifestyle that he was rapping about.
I disagree. Because
Tupac
you got to
was
realize
Tupac. Let's talk about the
Now,
facts.
hold on.
Tupac went to artist school. He was
Hold
never
on.
a gangbanger. He grew up around people in the life, and he rapped about the life. So he started to effectively take on.
I
the
think
life.
Tupac's
hold on.
talking
He
about
didn't
the life
grow
was
up in
a
the life.
different level of the life. I think him talking about that life was Black Panther life. I think he was talking about the cultural oppression, and then I think that trickles down to when you talk about urban ghetto and things of
Right.
that nature. But I think his level was just a higher level of the oppression and the gang. His gang was, like I said,
Have you ever
But
heard
that's
of immersive
revolutionary.
acting?
Wait a minute.
One,
Immersive acting. Like
Yeah, when you-
actors
they
that
get
like
deep in
immerse
it.
themselves
Yeah.
in a role so deeply
Well, hold on.
that
right.
they take it on.
I don't
Right?
remember
Well, hold
Jay-Z
on.
talking about putting hands on nobody though. Unless I'm not in his lyrics
Wait a minute.
like that, but does he talk
Right.
about that type
He
of stuff?
really don't. But when you see Jay,
Do you see
they
what I'm
will put-
saying?
that's what I'm saying. The difference. Jay was living his life.
But
Well, hold
living
on.
his life talking about models and
But did you-
Uzi and money.
but
That's
wait a
the
minute.
life he was living.
But did you really listen to Tupac though? Because
Yeah.
you gotta realize, like Tupac didn't start talking about super duper street stuff until
he came
Suge
here.
and got him.
Yeah, until he came
His
here.
whole rap career from the beginning, because I from his first album Tupacalypse, now I've been listening. You know what I mean? And he's always spoke of the life of the street, and he never spoke of gang activity.
Right.
He always spoke of individuality. That's where the whole thug life even came from. I'm not from a gang. I just do thug shit.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And some people, they do operate like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I do believe that Tupac was living the life that he lived for sure. You know what I mean? He had more connections to the streets than anything else. Now that could be related to his mom being a Panther because his mom was into the streets. So the
His mom
similarities
was
is
pregnant
very
in jail with
very
him
relative.
when she was in
But
there
she
how
from
he
was
lived
Reveille
his
and
life.
trying
Nation.
to uplift the street though.
He-
There's a very different
But what was
type
the
of
what was the level difference that Tupac wasn't out here doing? Let's just be real. He wasn't out here doing nothing really, really reckless. Like let's just be honest. Like
I
for
don't know.
real, it didn't nothing really got bad until Suge came and got it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Let's just keep it a buck. I mean, other than him getting into it with the police over just being black and yada 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 yada, that's always been Tupac.
Right, but before Suge, why was he in a situation for Suge to be able to come get him? Let's
That was
talk
some
about
set
that
up
part.
shit.
Because we
Pac
already know
was
what the
making a
situation
lot of
was. Though.
decisions that wasn't necessarily
What
the
the-
best decisions. That if he had a proper big homie or proper guidance, he wouldn't have been in a lot of them situations.
what type of proper big homie are you suggesting? Because y'all realize even him being in jail was on some false allegation too.
It was, but he kept
You
being
get what
in
I'm
those
saying?
situations to have false allegations placed against him.
How? In what way? You gotta realize that you gotta look at the time frame of what was going on.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? He
Right.
was still pursuing his acting career on
Right.
top of everything else.
Okay.
I've never seen Tupac out there with a rag. I've never seen Tupac out there try to do anything extra. As soon as he got himself involved in street shit, he got himself killed.
I mean,
Right.
and then you
And
can
we
say
know
something
this.
about you
Right.
can talk
Listen.
about you could talk about Snoop that was on trial under Suge's watch. You know what I'm saying? That
Right.
the whole murder was the case. You
but
know,
Snoop
he was.
was that life though.
I mean, Snoop for sure. I mean,
We
he
know that
never,
for
you know, and he
sure.
never.
That's why he
But
survived.
I think but I hear what you're saying. But like I said, I think that it was a higher level of oppression that Pac was on. When he
Yeah.
talked about the street, he was talking about
He
the
couldn't
earth. He was
separate
talking about
Where he was,
you know
from.
what it was for us.
He
Because
made a
if
song
you
called
notice,
Brenda Had a Baby. Who made a
almost
song about Brenda having a
yeah,
baby?
and almost talking about you know, when I think about Pac, I almost want to use the word schizophrenic. Like you can listen to the same song and he'll hit 4 different shits. It's like, are we talking about? That's like, what song is that? The one that irritates me because he can't stay focused. The one with what's one with Casey and JoJo?
How do you want it?
Yeah, like he's talking. He get talking about Dolores Tucker. He
Mhm.
talking about censoring rap, but he talking about sex, how you want it. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's in all these different places on the song. He
Right.
can't even keep it on. I'm gonna say a general public on our level. He talking about how you want it sex wise, but he's bigger. He's talking about all this political stuff. Like
Yeah,
he'll
but
be on a
that's-
song and get almost schizophrenic because, in my opinion, he was narrowing down his scope for what he was doing. In my opinion, if Pac was here looking at 50 years old right now, if that's how old Pac would be like 50 right now, 51. They would have an interview with him and they say, "Oh, so you used to rhyme in your 20s, huh?" That's to me, that's would have been the conversation he would have been having. Pac
Mhm.
would have been on some other stuff.
But-
Rap was a stop.
But the thing
to
about it
me.
is, even then, you still talking about the Death Row era. How do you want it? Is Death Row era.
No,
if you
but-
go pre-Death Row era, he stuck to the
Right.
subject matter on all his songs.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you know how we talk like now.
Me Against the World.
No, we talk about now, and I'm going to say this, and then we can talk about everything else we're here to talk about. But I was just talking to somebody about a post that I saw, and he said, "Show me a song right now," and excuse my language. He said, "But show me a song right now that ain't talking about pussy, that's not talking about money and how to get it, and ain't talking about what you riding in." He said, "Show me a song right now that ain't that." He said, while I have nothing against that, if you go back to 90s rap and 80s rap, there was more variety. It was different. You had this type of rapper that was doing this. You had this type of rapper that was doing that. So when I say that, what I mean is I think, and if you want to do that, and if you can rhyme, and so say for example, I could rhyme, and I rhymed about global warming and world situations. But I know I can get that bread if I talk about money and ass and stuff like that. I might narrow my scope for now so I can get that money to fund what I want to do. So I think that's what Tupac was on. And what it turned out, he got caught up while he was there. I think that was a stop to get him some money. And he had to narrow his scope. So when I go back to how do you want it, to me, him writing that's why it was almost this kind of, he was still trying to,
I can
kind
see
of,
that.
you see what I'm saying?
I
Kind of
can see
lower
that.
his scope to be on what we own.
Was that
Gotcha.
Alec Baldwin system, like to be black and intelligent in America is to be relatively enraged every day, right? Something like
And
that.
once you're woke, like we talk about all the time, once you woke to what's going on, it's hard not to be enraged.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do things to kind of calm it, like drink, like smoke, like, look at toasting. But that you do things to distract yourself. And we was talking about distractions. once you woke, it's hard to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
It's hard to not see what you're looking at. And, that's one of the reasons why I promote. I mean, and let's be clear. Like you said, our default is African American. That's our default. That's and when you're talking about, putting out the water on the home, this the home. That's we on fire right now. We got hella cracks in our foundation. So we need to have these conversations.
Yeah.
We need to like each other more. We need to listen to each other and say, okay, what do we need to do to get better?
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
I'm hoping something
It's
is
not
going
gonna
to start.
happen.
Why
What-
do you think? Why
Why
do
you
you
say
think?
that?
What do y'all think about what's going on with
I
Whoopi
mean,
right
it's
now?
starting with this now. I mean, are we not having
Ooh.
this conversation?
Ooh,
It kind of, I don't know if this is an awkward segue, but I kind of touched on it a little bit.
no.
What
So
you-
go ahead
What's
and
going on with Whoopi?
outline it. What's going on with
yeah.
it?
Y'all heard about it? So,
Yeah, I heard about
she was on. What's the name of her show? The
The
View.
View.
I don't watch it, but Whoopi Goldberg, she black. Anyway, she said something along the lines that the Holocaust wasn't about racism because it was two white races going at it.
Mhm.
So she got canceled for that. She got
Well, finish what else she said.
I don't know.
What did she say?
She said
Maybe we can pull the clip up.
See that, and that's the thing. They,
What
the
else
media,
did she say?
media kind of canceled her without bringing the context of her statement. She said to her, the Holocaust was less about racism and more about the inhumanity
There
of
we go.
humanity.
Okay.
And how, as human beings, we can be so cruel against one another.
hmm
And they automatically tried to cancel her for saying that when it's like, what is the problem with that statement? And, I guess my issue is, you look at that statement and it's like, okay, you cancel her right away. You look at certain communities that harp on that, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, those same communities won't harp on, situations like
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan
Oh, he under
or
fire.
the issue in places like Florida where they're passing legislation to ban the teaching of
Mhm.
critical race theory or
Mm.
enacting legislation of the teaching of any aspect of history that could make individuals that are
Feel
considered
bad.
Caucasian feel
Ill.
Because their
ill
feelings are
or
hurt.
bad. Right. Think of how broad that is.
Yeah.
But
So
but
at what
listen-
point does that stop?
But let me show you something on. Let me when I talk about the totem pole of this world we're in.
Right.
Critical race theory comes up when they're trying to cover what? Listen to me. Every book that I had and teach from in history in school, it covers John Smith and the Pilgrims and given the Native Americans blankets with smallpox on them and
Wow.
everything that they did. But there was no opposition then.
hmm
There was no opposition to teaching that.
Mhm.
What's the opposition? What do they not want to talk about and acknowledge? Look at the difference. That's what I'm telling us. Look at the difference. Yeah, we can say that we did this to the Native American community. It was wrong. We need to teach our children history.
Right.
Why can't we teach what the critical racism theory is trying to teach?
Mm.
Because of who it classifies. Who does it classify?
Right.
Us.
Right.
So you have to always look at the response of what's being protected. Not to go bigger, but I'll go bigger.
Mhm.
We were talking about the and not to be like that, but with this thing that they call the missing white girl theory. When a white girl is missing, all hell gonna break loose. They
Oh,
gonna
it's
find
news
who
coverage and
killed her,
everything.
news
Mhm.
coverage. But you got all these little sisters out there gone and nothing's happening. It just is what it is. They have to beg for reward money to find the girl that they found by the 110. 16 years old. Somebody shot her twice in the neck. They found her right about off Manchester.
What? I didn't hear
Yeah,
about
this
that.
is about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
They're
15 years old.
16 years old.
16.
It was on the news.
Yeah, mom and them they begging put people. They're trying to get. I don't know if it's the local government to put money towards the reward
Mhm.
and things of that nature. But you have to look again at what does the protective class look like.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the problem I have with us. We allow that. We allow others to value us, and we base our value on of the value of how others value us.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll always be trying to play catch up if we keep doing that. When something happens, all hell should break loose. But what happens is we hashtag it for 3 weeks, might make a T-shirt, make some money, and then it's a bygone thought.
We're an emotional people. You know, we don't necessarily look at situations and say, let's take the emotion out of it. Let's keep it strictly logical. Let's form our argument for what we need to do, create a strategy, and enact that strategy no matter what.
Well, what I will do is disagree with you and come in and just, take my helm as the queen of the show, and I will say this. I come from a people that do that. If I didn't, my parents wouldn't. My mother went to, like I said, a colored bathroom. That generation put logic. They took emotion out and said, you know what? I want my kids to be able, like Martin said, I want my children to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And the people that were brought over here had learn a new language, a new way of life. They logically created what they needed to do so we can sit here right now and do what we want to do. So yes, we do have it in us. We need to act like we have it in us, and we need to do our part and not just reap the benefits of what our ancestors and parents and grandparents
How did we lose it?
did. How did we lose it? The acceptance of a system that was never made for us. I call it the theory, and what's funny is I said this last week. I call it the theory. If we want to get more lighthearted, and I promise we're gonna get more lighthearted in a minute. But
I mean,
I
it's a financial convo.
yes, it's a world convo. We can do that. But I have some questions for y'all that I solicited, and I want y'all to help me answer.
Okay.
But like I said, a quick kind of anecdote that I would always tell is when you look at the Grammys and you look at the Image Awards, nobody goes to the Image Awards, but everybody goes to the Grammys. And you don't get that the Image Awards are more important. No one being accepted, but not to us. Being accepted by your own is hella, and it's huge. You understand what I'm saying? But everybody want to go to the Grammys because it's a general acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I
What
get
was
it.
you about to say?
No, I agree.
Do you get that?
I
Do you
agree.
get that acceptance of your folk is hella? It's like, okay, let me give you a funny scenario and then I'll leave it alone because I know I'm getting away that I didn't want to get on here. I didn't want to put my thing here. But it's like me sitting up and making a thing of macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, baked macaroni and cheese, plantation baked macaroni and
She
cheese,
makes
right?
good macaroni and cheese, by the
I
way.
take that macaroni and cheese, right?
It's
And
good.
I go to, my well-diverse office party, potluck, and I take it, oh, this is bomb. This is so good. What you put in it? And they just love it. Now, when I take that macaroni and cheese down home to the folk, who gonna know that that's crafts that I got in there and I'm doctoring it up? The folk gonna know,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we happy with what we've doctored up as opposed to what's authentic. And if it's not authentic, yeah, we're gonna take it over there and it's gonna be accepted. But in order to take something that I claim is authentic to folks that didn't authenticate it, that's game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're doing right now. Let me give you a further depthness. Can I say that?
Yep.
Okay. Let me tell you what our state to me is right now. And when I say our state is our culture. And I didn't plan to talk this much, and I should not be talking this much, but I'm going to say this, and then we're going to move on.
It's your show.
That's what I be telling myself, but this is not what I wanted to do, Fernando. But let me tell you what our state is to me. And I work in analogies, so,
Teach me.
Okay.
Break it down.
So to me, black folks are, you know how somebody come over your house, like you got a homeboy, your homeboy come over your house, y'all both in high school and stuff, y'all come home from basketball practice together, y'all hungry, oh, what you got to eat? Oh, I ain't got nothing to eat. I say I ain't got nothing to eat in there and stuff. I said, but shit, if you can find something, go in there and see what you can find.
Mm-hmm.
And my homie go in there and come out and make a bomb meal. They got sides and gravy and shit, and I'm like, damn. And I'm over there, oh shoot, damn, that smell good. Where you find all that? I got in your cupboards, found them beans and got them going. I'm like, okay, all right. And I grab a plate. He said, well, hold on. That's gonna be $10 for the plate. I'm like, what? You in my house? Yeah, but you didn't know all that stuff was there. So I came to your house.
Mm-hmm.
I found the resources in your house, that bomb shit that you wasn't using. I made some fresh biscuits on that ass, got some roux going,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm about to charge you for your own shit. That's what we doing right now.
Yeah.
In every sense of the word, that's where we are as a community right now. We don't even get it. We getting sold our own game, and we buying.
Nah, man, we selling.
We are buying.
We are selling.
No, we selling ourselves.
Buying.
We selling ourselves, but we buying our shit back.
Right.
We sold it. We sold the resources for nothing, some
Right.
nominal fee,
Right.
but we're buying our own game back.
Right.
Mm.
Do you understand what I'm
Spot on
saying?
with the- on
Somewhat.
That's what we looking. That's what we doing right now.
Okay. You're gonna have to break that down a little more for me off air.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
that. Mhm.
Okay, and what I'm probably gonna do is when I edit this, I'm gonna come down and we're gonna come back up black and we're gonna pick it up right here. So yeah,
All
so
right.
we just gonna